There's obviously a lot of different opinions and perspectives on, the rush to get sports back and how important it is and things like that. Obviously, when you work in sports, you're a part of sports. What do you think it can do for a country, for kind of culture right now to get sports back in a safe way, to do it safely, but what it can do for a group of people?
Well, I think what it does is it enhances the morale of people. Just the excitement and energy. It gives us something not only to be excited about, but it also gives you something else to think about. And I think, we have to look at it in a sense where at this particular point, I think I've seen probably the same movie at least 2 or 3 times. And reruns are now starting to become real reruns. And it's not even like it's 5 years later. It's like a week later, I'm seeing the same show I seen last week. So I think when sports are able to come back and they do it right, I think the NBA has done a great job of the way they've handled this situation. Now, I think we'll be going forward, I think in mid-June to get those guys back going again. And then maybe July 1st, we'll see some playoff play. I think Major League Baseball is talking about splitting the 2 teams, one in Arizona and one in Florida, where they kind of split the teams and then they compete and go that way. I think soccer is more in a tough situation because of all these overseas teams, and some of them have been diagnosed with COVID-19, so they're going through that. UFC has given us something to watch, which is weird. And I think a lot of people sometimes kind of get pulled back because of the whole no fans in the stands kind of deal. But what we have to understand is these guys play with no fans in the stands all the time. It's just like playing pickup basketball. It's just like practicing. There's nothing wrong with that, although we would love our fans and our energy, but understanding people will be watching. So we'll see what happens in the next 3 to 4 weeks as far as decisions are made. But me being in Arizona right now where things have opened up, I can say, thank you. But we're still cautious and going through the right channels.
It seems like the one sports constant we do have right now is The Last Dance. Are you watching it? Are you watching it live? Are you watching it after the fact, or how are you consuming it?
Well, remember, I'm in Arizona, so 6 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
It is showtime for me. So I know the East Coast at 9 o'clock, they get it late night. We get it here kind of mid-evening. We might order some pizza or something. But the whole thing for me and being a Bulls fan, I'm an avid Bulls fan, Blackhawks, Cubs. I cheer my White Sox on, if they win, but I'm a Cubs fan. But I knew that journey. I knew this whole past, but I didn't know the ins and outs. I didn't know about the Jerry Krause and Scottie Pippen turmoil. I knew of Mike's approach to players and trying to uplift them and get the best out of them. But some things you didn't know what happened in practice. Some things you didn't know as far as communication with Jerry Krause and Phil Jackson. These are things that people now are learning, and especially the millennials and the Generation X. They're learning more about now the history of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And so, we talk all these young kids talk LeBron. Now they're starting to see how a true player really attacks and really prepares himself to be one of the great players.
Yeah, it's been a blast to watch. I'm curious on your thoughts of Nick Foles coming to Chicago and that kind of quarterback battle, and just the thoughts of him coming to the team.
It was shocking to me when the trade was made. And it was nothing against Nick. Hey, I'm happy for Nick because what Nick brought to Philadelphia with the Super Bowl. I looked at it in a sense of for Mitch Trubisky, if you're kind of done with the Mitch Trubisky era, I think the best for him at that particular point with the draft is to try to trade him and give him another opportunity somewhere else. But then you go and trade for Nick Foles, who Nick is coming over with a Super Bowl championship, which was a couple of years ago. It was with another team. But more importantly, he's coming over with a big price tag. He's coming over with $20+ million on his contract a year. So now you have the highest paid player on your offense as your backup quarterback. And your highest paid defensive player is your face of the franchise pretty much in Khalil Mack. So I think it's tough for Mitch at this particular point. I thought if they would have went for somebody to get some depth at the quarterback position, it may have been a trade for a guy like Andy Dalton. Or maybe, with Cam being a free agent, bring Cam Newton in. But I think this would be a great step forward for Mitch Trubisky. I don't look at it so much as a quarterback controversy because it's Mitch Trubisky's position to lose. And I think he plays better this year.
What do you think the Bears offense has to do to kind of get over that hump and just be more productive? I mean, like ending up the season 29th, just not what anyone wants from their team or their offense, but do you feel like they have the pieces and they're getting there, or do you feel like they're still a ways away?
I think they're ways away from pieces. I mean, you got about 6, 7 tight ends.
Not 9 of them.
Yeah, and your receiving core is less than that. I look at it in the sense that I think they need a true number one receiver. And then the other guys would kind of fall into place. I think they have a bunch of number 2 and 3 receivers, which is, I'm not dogging them by any means. Mm-hmm. I think they need a running back like a Mark Ingram, a guy who like Jordan Howard, who they should have never got rid of. I thought they need a running back with that now to go with Cohen. And then their offensive line needs to be shored up. They're not secure up front, and that's not helping Mitch Trubisky out in certain situations. But for this offense to be effective, 1, they have to be creative. 2, they have to establish a tempo early in games, and they have to work consistency. And when I say work consistency, it has to be an established running attack where your play action game can benefit from it.
And to wrap it up, out of my own curiosity, because I came from covering the Packers for the last 6 seasons, what did you think about them drafting Jordan Love right out of the gate?
Yeah, I was one of few that thought that was a great pick. And what people have to realize is last year's success that they had wasn't on the arm of Aaron Rodgers. It was on the defense playing so effectively and creating turnovers to the running game. Like, their running game is one that people don't want to give credit to. And remember, McCarthy was more trying to cater to Aaron, which Aaron did some great things, don't get me wrong. But when things go wrong, who do they blame? They blame McCarthy. Mm-hmm. So now, all of a sudden, we go straight to the relationship with LaFleur and Aaron, and you don't give them a chance to establish anything. And Aaron, like, he's almost big dogging Matt LaFleur. So Matt LaFleur is like, hey, you know what? Okay, we're going to get ready to draft for our future. And everyone in the building understood the pick. But then now we're still trying, well, you should have got some. What should they have got? Everybody said a receiver. Mm-hmm. Last time I checked, Devontae Adams is a Pro Bowler.
Right.
Now, you let Jimmy Graham go, which you should have, mm-hmm. and then they draft a tight end, which they needed to. But if you go out and get you a receiver, what is that really doing? Are you adding depth, or are you getting them there to be Devontae Adams?
Right, and they need someone right away. They can't bring someone and take the time to develop them, and I think that's what people missed in that. It's like, if there was a receiver available that they could put in the game right away, it's great. But if there's not, I mean,
why get one?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. It was fun to chat and meet you virtually.
Yes.
But stay safe, stay healthy.
Back home, I'll probably run into you back home.
Yeah. Keep an eye out. Like I said, I just moved here, just took the job. City shut down, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So it's been interesting.
You see your surroundings. Welcome home. Now you get a chance to learn the ins and outs.
Right. I know the walls of my apartment very well now. So I'm looking forward to football and sports again. So it should be good.
There you go. Well, good luck, and be prepared for the last dance on Sunday. At least it'll give something to watch this weekend.
Absolutely.